Thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I am Klaus and I'll be the host for the session. I have here this evening Amanda Roeden, who is the program manager at Colombia, and she is the program manager for the executive LLM, which is the program we'll be learning more about this evening. And we also have Carolina Neri here. She's from São Paulo. She's a partner at a boutique law firm, and this boutique law firm is specialized in civil procedure. She graduated from the executive LLM last year in Colombia, and she will be sharing some of her experiences this evening with us. So thank you so much for joining us. If you know of somebody who signed up and maybe didn't join yet, please let them know that we are getting started. And now I'll give the floor to Amanda, who will conduct the session.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to talk to you a bit more about the Executive LLM program at Columbia. So thank you for taking the time. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so I believe that you can see our screen now. So thanks again for coming, everybody. Today we are talking about the Executive LLM at Columbia, and we'll get into a bit more about what that looks like, the program design and curriculum, as well as a bit about our traditional LLM program too. So we'll start off with introductions and talk about, why Columbia also. This is a very, specific program in New York. Why would you want to travel all the way to New York City for, a 6-month program? We're going to look into that, talk about some highlights of the program, what makes the program very specific and different, as well as how to apply. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. All right, so as Klaus mentioned, my name is Amanda Roeden. I'm the program manager of the Executive LLM, and I'm joined today by one of our exceptional alumni, Carolina Neri. She is currently a partner at Neri Abogados, and she's here today to answer questions and share a bit more about her experience of the program. And she just graduated in 2020, so she's seen everything the program has to offer, so she's got plenty to say. So talking a little bit more about why Columbia? Why would you want to come here, go through the visa process, do all these different parts? And I think it comes down to a great law school, a great university, and a great city. We have name recognition as part of it. Having a degree from Columbia gives you a competitive advantage in many ways. You will always have credibility with clients, with people going forward. You never have to say like, oh, I got it from Columbia in New York and explain what that means. People have an idea of Columbia, and we really feel that we have the resources, the faculty to back that up in the experience you'll actually get there. Another part is the university. Columbia has shown it is a world-class healthcare center this year. We've learned a lot about that, but while you're on campus, you have access to all of Columbia's healthcare abilities and the healthcare plan. You have access to the gym, the beautiful campus that we're seeing here, all the resources like the libraries that you have that come with an Ivy League institution. So that's a really great reason just to be part of the community and part of the alumni family. You're going to be joining, hundreds, thousands of alumni all over the world in all different fields. And having that connection makes reaching out to those people or, potentially moving into a different market or a different area just that much easier. And finally, it's a great city. I'm biased. I live here. I love it. But we are the financial capital of the world in many ways. There are people here from everywhere, not just here in the city, but here on campus. And you're going to have access to all of that, to the UN, to NGOs, to private practices, to large corporations. And while you're here, and even while you're taking our classes remotely, because the program starts in a hybrid fashion, you have access to those people because you're on campus, you're in New York. If you want to set up a meeting with somebody, you're able to really be there. You can show up there, you're able to work with our career center. In addition, we have some pretty great food, shows, parks. So there's plenty to take advantage of while you're here. This is what one of our alums from last year said about the program. Sanjay said, a Columbia degree is not only important for me for its brand value, but also for the enduring, enriching experience it provided. And Carolina, if you could talk a bit about why did you choose Columbia? What made it of interest to you, and also kind of what sparked your interest and what made you decide to keep going with the program?
Hi, Amanda. Yeah, actually, my history with Colombia is quite interesting. My sister was a visiting scholar at Columbia, and so she got in contact with everybody there. And then when you guys wanted to talk a little more about the executive LLM in Brazil, I went to one of the events here in São Paulo, and I just thought that was so amazing and so interesting. And I didn't even look for other programs because first of all, Colombia was already in my mind from her experience. I had visited her in New York while she was there as a visiting scholar, and I thought the university was just very interesting. And then when the opportunity came for me to think about this executive LLM, it was just the perfect fit for me. I have 3 kids and I'm a new partner at the firm because I just graduated 5 years ago, and I had just finished my master's degree here in Brazil. So it was, yeah, for me, a question of whether I should pursue a PhD right now or try something different. And for me, it didn't make sense to start something as long as a PhD program right now, because I wouldn't have time to work and take care of my 3 kids while pursuing such a long program like a PhD, which takes 5 years. And then my sister really encouraged me, and she was like, why don't you do the executive LLM? You won't even have to be there for the whole year, because this, you do half of it online and half of it on campus. And I thought about it and was like, yeah, okay, that's it. That's the perfect match for me. And so my idea was, of course, to have the half of the program there on campus, and I couldn't because of the pandemic. So I'm still waiting for this opportunity. I'm going next year. But I did the whole program online last year. And it was really amazing because, as Sanjay said perfectly well there in his quote, it's not just about the brand value. Of course, that's very important. And I'm very proud of my diploma, which I'm going to hang now in my office, which writes Colombia, and everything is in Latin. That's so perfect and so, so refined. But it's really the experience. I graduated in Germany. I have a degree in languages, and I graduated here in law school in Brazil, and I have a master's degree from a Brazilian university. So I have experience with academic programs. And this is by far the best thing I've ever seen, really. It's amazing, the quality of the program, how you put it together, the subjects you teach, the classes, how everything is connected, how one class is connected to the other. And then you read, okay, I'm going to have this colloquium, but by the title, it doesn't really interest me. I don't know what I'm going to learn there. I don't know if that's going to be so great. And then you have another class that totally connects with what you were learning at the colloquium, and you're like, now I understand what I'm doing here. And it just matches. Everything fits perfectly to your needs. And everything we learned last year was so state of the art. It was really, of course, global business law. It's implied that you're going to learn about new things that are happening, and new fields of law that are being discussed and studied right now. But what we saw there was really amazing. I hadn't expected to learn so much about so many new things that, for example, digital law and big techs and how that's going to be regulated in the future. We had that in antitrust. And before that, I was like, antitrust, is that going to be so interesting? I don't deal with antitrust. I don't work with that. I don't have so much familiarity with that area. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy that so much. And then afterwards, I was like, I'm going to study that. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to work with that because it's amazing. And we didn't really, in antitrust specifically, we didn't really learn anything about acts and law, because there is nothing there yet. It's all new. It's not regulated yet, the activity of big techs. But the insights you have and the discussions you have in class and the readings and the provocations that the teachers bring, it's so amazing. You leave every class wanting for more. It's really an amazing experience.
Wonderful. That was perfect. And I will just try to keep up with what Carolina has said for the rest of the program and convince you that that is all 100% true. And so speaking about what Carolina said about learning new things and it being cutting edge and really different, our program is really designed for people who never want to stop learning. This program is specifically tailored for lawyers with experience. I think last year our average years of experience was 12, and this year it's even 15. So we're coming in with lawyers who are bringing plenty of experience to the table, who may be experts in their field, but are looking at the world around them, which is so rapidly changing, as we've seen even more than ever in the last year, and thinking that they want to know more. They want to be ready for the changes that are coming. They are lifelong learners who are looking to be leaders with whatever comes next. And so that's really what the program is kind of designed for. And another quote from our recent alum, Semyon, says, "It's a well-known truth that in unstable times, the best investments are health and education for yourself and your family. It's hard to predict what is coming next for us, but it's always good to have an additional competitive advantage." And I think that that's been more true than ever this last year. I mean, no one could have predicted what's come from here. And I'm so, happy to hear now that even with more distance after the program, that Carolina, you still feel like what you learned was not only relevant, but maybe even kind of changed your direction and focus after learning those things. So that's really wonderful to hear on your end. So just a bit to clarify, we do have 2 LLM programs at Columbia. We have the Executive LLM program in Global Business Law, which is what we're discussing today, and our traditional LLM program, which you may be familiar with. So just a point of clarification, these are essentially, these are the same degrees. You will receive a Master of Laws. The diploma will look the same. It will be the exact same number of credits. It's just that the format and focus of the programs are a little bit different. The Executive LLM is done in 6 months, and that's a combination of 3 months online and 3 months on campus, assuming everything goes right with the world at that time. In comparison, our traditional LLM program is in the normal kind of 10-month format. You're a full-time student on campus, and you're not working during that time frame. You're really just focused in on your study. And one of the unique aspects of the Executive LLM program is that, especially during the online portion, you are able to work full-time during those. Those portions are part-time, so the majority of our students work full-time during the online portion. And you are full-time when you're on campus, though I know many students continue to keep things rolling over in their jobs and careers, but we don't suggest you do too much because it is quite intense. And finally, the bigger difference is the curriculum. The curriculum for the Executive LLM program is really focused on global business law. You are going to be down in the trenches, learning about global business law and all the different areas that affect that. We like to think of it as almost a mix of an MBA and an LLM. You're really bringing in the theoretical and the practical and putting them together. And for our traditional LLM, it allows you to focus in a variety of different areas. So if you are more interested in human rights or taxes, or if you're looking to have a broad educational experience, the traditional LLM allows you to have a big variety of classes. So this is a bit more about the Executive LLM program design. And this program was made for global business lawyers to have a space to advance their careers, but stay professionally and personally connected. We know that people with this many years of experience, and we do require at least 5 years of professional experience, are coming in with a whole different set of both life experiences and expectations, both professionally and at home. Many students can't take a full year away. And so it's easier for them to only be away from home for 3 months, whether that's because they've got family commitments or professional commitments. The time frame really makes sense for them. But we also recognize how rapidly changing global business law is. It's a field that is, changing so quickly, as Carolina mentioned. In big tech and regulations, we also have new things like new foods that are coming. Where are the regulations of the meat substitutes and AI? Those things are what we want to be on the forefront of and what we want to be having in our classrooms. So it's really a recognizing of the fact that business lawyers need to do more than just be lawyers now and evaluate risk. You have to be partners with your clients, and you need to be able to speak the language that they're speaking. And that's what we hope to do in this program. It is an intensive program. It's taken over 6 months, which is a shorter time period. And I would say that the most intense time period is that orange box there of the on-campus full-time. So you can see that the first 2 classes are taken during the first block there, and they are 2 4-week classes. Those are part-time and online, and you'll start with an introduction to American law. That course really sets the base for the rest of your classes, and it's going to give you the basics that you need in a variety of areas to be able to succeed in the rest of the program. And the second one is contracts. Our contracts class is usually taught by this amazing professor who is really going to push you to understand contracts, to really think about that. And he has a lot to say, and he's always a fan favorite. When you're on campus, full time, like I said, you'll take 5 courses when you're there, some required and some electives. And those electives are changing every year. So we'll get into a bit more about that later. And finally, you'll finish with 1 more part-time online course. So we think that this gives students the best of both worlds. You have the flexibility of only being on campus for 3 months, for being able to continue in your current job, but also you have the time on campus that many students really want, to be able to not only bond with each other, but also to bond with the professors and really focus in there. Go to a bit more curriculum. Oh, gone too far. Let's see. So now, speaking a bit more about our curriculum. So our required courses, as I mentioned, are an introduction to American law, contracts, corporations, and professional responsibility. We change up our electives every year, but generally we have similar courses. We do an evaluation of our students at the end of every year to ask, what classes did you like? What professors did you like? How did you like learning from them? And what do you think could be added or could be changed? We're constantly in communication with our alumni, as well as with practitioners and experts from Columbia who are helping to shape our courses. And these courses are taught by our amazing law faculty. And they are also having a lot of input about what's going into these courses. What are things that are going to make our students, keep our students on the cutting edge when they go back to work after this and be prepared. So some of our best classes, negotiations is always a favorite, international commercial arbitration, mergers and acquisitions, international business transactions. These are just some of the possibilities that we're looking into for 2022. Wow, 2022 sounds so far away, but it's coming quickly. And so we're in the process of creating our curriculum right now. And for our colloquium, as Carolina mentioned, it is, I would say, our most responsive class to the changes of the global market and to what students think that we need. Usually we even have one module that's not even finalized until we have our class done, because we do an initial survey of students and ask them, what are your areas of interest? What do you want to be learning about? And so a lot of the things that we focus on in that, I think, really bring together business and law, financial statement analysis. I could be speaking out of turn, but that was a hard class, but I feel like students really found it useful after you're in it. And the professor really takes the time to figure out how to explain it to you and how to make it relevant. We also have data analytics. And one of our colloquiums this year is representing future industries, as we're discussing. And that's bringing in a lot of different speakers to talk about their areas of expertise. So, this is a really cool part of the program that we think allows us to be flexible, responsive, agile, and that the curriculum is meant to be as responsive as possible. Carolina, do you have any favorite classes, favorite teachers, anything that you kind of want to speak about here?
It's so hard to talk about favorite classes because even the ones I thought I wasn't going to like, I loved. They were hard. Like, for example, financial statement analysis. That's totally out of my comfort zone because I don't understand numbers very well. But it was so important for me because I had worked in some arbitrations and some lawsuits as well, where we had to make where we had to work with accountants as our assistants and help us through the lawsuit, and knowing how to read the statements and knowing what to look for in the statements is so important when you are practicing law. And we don't really realize how important it is until you start learning or until you actually need to work with that, right? So of course, I while we were learning, I was thinking about my past experience, and I was wondering how well could I have done, or how much less work I could have had if I had been prepared for this, you know. International commercial arbitration, that was an excellent course. I work with arbitration, but I don't have any didn't have any experience with international arbitration, and we learned from the best. The professors are so amazing. And even though I had experience with arbitration, the class, they really make the class really interesting, so that it doesn't look like it's just the basics what you're learning. They bring new situations, they bring peculiarities of the area, and the discussions, they are really high level. So you are never bored, even if you are comfortable with the classes. International business transactions, that was an excellent class. Professor Garro was just very amazing. All his classes are really high level. And just as an example, we in arbitration, we have usually moods where the students learn how to deal with arbitration in a more practical scenario. And all these arbitrations, they have obviously as a background international business transactions. And because the moods are international, it ends up being international business transactions. So one of the activities in this class was to do the mood. So he divided us in the class in several groups and made us rehearse this mood. That was one exercise for one class, and we had like less than a week to prepare for something that students usually take a year to prepare. So that you realize how the pace of the course is. It's just an activity. Here, prepare this for next week, and you're, dealing with a mood in a very interesting business transaction that deals with the international laws that you were learning in class, and everything amazing, and how the students interact, and the level of responsibility they bring to the table. It's very nice and comfortable to work with this. Lawyers from across the world who are so engaged in learning and really giving their best to the course. So it's a very wonderful environment to learn and to devote yourself to this new world, really.
Yeah, that's a very good point to speak about what the professors expect from you. They are excited to teach our executive LLM students. They know that they're coming in with years of experience, with their own expertise, that they're very, very talented. And I think the professors recognize that and do expect a lot out of them, but they're giving a lot in, and they feel like they're learning too from the students often, because we have such talented students there, and I think it's really great for them to be able to be students from all over the world as well. So talk about some highlights of the program. We've talked a bit about what makes the program unique in terms of its scheduling and kind of its focus here. And some other highlights of the program, I think, are that the program was designed for a really small cohort of lawyers. This is a small group. It's never meant to be a really large group that's on campus together. And we think that not only allows you to know your professors and your fellow classmates, but also to kind of take you out of your comfort zone. You have to meet and talk with people from all over the world. We have usually 5 continents at least represented on campus or in this class. And they're all lawyers coming in with significant professional experience. And this was one of, I think, an unexpected benefit of the program that we didn't think about when we were creating this program, was that having a small group really bonded people together and pushed them out of their comfort zone. And that was one of the best benefits students have said. So that's really great to just bring them together. In addition, we have amazing faculty. As Carolina has said, they not only are going to push you, are going to challenge you, are going to teach you, but they're going to care about you too. They want you to succeed, and they want to know what your goals are and what your passions are and help you get there. They will even go out to lunch with students while they're here and really make time to get to know our students. It's the same faculty that works in our traditional LLM program, in our JD programs, the same faculties that work in our executive LLM program, in addition to expert practitioners that we bring in to teach part of the colloquium or sometimes visiting professors in specific areas. So they're just an amazing part of the program. And finally, our colloquium is very interesting. As we said, it really blends together theory and practice. It is bringing you into the trenches of business and preparing you to go back out and speak the language of your clients. And we also have a leadership and management series. And this is a speaker series that we do that brings in practitioners and experts in the fields of law, as well as business and diversity. They're often alumni of Columbia to come in and talk to people that they know have experience. They're designed for lawyers that have professional experience already, that are potentially looking, either are managers or about to be in management, that are both working, kind of professionally there. So we're really excited about that program, and that changes every year. And again, that's often based on what our students say at the beginning of the year that they're interested in. And we do have a bit of an executive experience. The executive experience is designed to help you transition. We know our professors, verifying Outlook, sorry about that. We know that our students are very busy. They are professionals, they are working generally most of the time. So we want to make some of the admin as easy as possible. That includes an airport pickup when you arrive in New York. We do have the option of on-campus furnished housing. And if you're not interested in the on-campus housing, we have a variety of off-campus options we can help you find. Breakfast and lunch are provided during all class days on campus. And we do send all of your course materials. So whether that's a calculator that you need for a class, your books, your readings, all of that is sent to you, both for your on-campus and off-campus classes. You get those all ahead of time, so you don't need to buy them, figure out how to ship them. They're all provided for you. The My Columbia survey is what I've mentioned a couple times, which is sent to you after you're admitted and before our classes start, which is going to ask you about your goals, if there's anyone specific you want to meet, your specific areas of interest and your passion. And we use that information to really design the class for the whole year or the whole 6 months. And I think that that's really, wonderful. It tailors the program each year to that specific cohort of students. We're big on feedback. We want surveys. We have surveys at the beginning of the program. We have a survey at the end of the program, and we have a survey about all of the classes. We really want to know what's making the program good so that we can continue to tweak and change it to be responsive to our students' needs and the needs of the market. That includes curated programming, as I said, with speakers and visits while you're here, and extracurricular activities. It's a very short time period while you're in the city, and we want to make sure that you can still see New York. So things that we've done in the past have been scavenger hunts, a cruise around the city, a Broadway show, a Yankees game. So, we have a lot of opportunities for students to just get out in the city and be together in a social setting too, because, you can't have all work and no play. So we want to make sure that students are enjoying their time as well. And here from Naomi says, Columbia Law School has provided the best education setting through small class sizes, which lead to thought-provoking discussions and the exchange of motivating ideas with other experienced legal professionals from all over the world. I know, Carolina, you've talked a little bit about your classmates already, but can you say anything else about what having that group of students kind of meant to you, maybe even more specifically in such a strange year that 2020 was?
Yeah, we had a very interesting group. I thought we were going to be just lawyers who practice law in law firms, but we have, for example, Naomi is the chief compliance officer of the China Construction Bank. We had other people who were in the industries. We had people who were in big law firms, people who were in smaller law firms. We had people in big companies. I think Maria was in a big company in Colombia. Sorry. And so we had lawyers from different backgrounds working in different fields and with different experiences, different life experiences. Sanjay, for example, was an accountant before he became a lawyer. So really people with very different backgrounds who had different points of view on the things we were learning and had, of course, different ideas about everything. And that made the discussions really rich. and thought-provoking, as Naomi said. So a very, very interesting group of people and environment to learn, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I mean, I personally love getting to know the students every year. It is so fascinating, not only to read in their applications about their experience, but to get to know them during the classes and during our events. I mean, I'm just so astounded every year by the experiences and the talent that the students bring into the classroom and into our group. And it's just such a pleasure for me to get to work with such talented people. So a bit about qualifications. What are we looking for, and really what do you need to succeed in the program? So as with all LLM programs, you do need to have a first degree in law, and we're looking for an excellent academic record. Columbia is first and foremost an academic institution. And as Carolina said, you will be pushed, and you will be expected to keep up in the readings and be a part of the classroom discussion, because we think that that's really important to the learning, is not just to be there and to listen, but to be a participant in what's happening. So people ask, what does excellent academic record mean? We do know that there are different grading scales across the world. We do not have a specific GPA or a specific test score that you would need for that. We're looking for students who were involved in their classrooms, perhaps in the top percentile of their classes or with honors. We're looking for that, but we know that there are different grading systems all over, and we're very aware of that as we review your applications. We do look for about at least 5 years of work experience. Relevant work experience can include some internship experience if it was extended, if it was extended over a while or more full time, and you can really kind of bring that out in your CV or your personal statement. But generally around 5 years is kind of the cutoff. And as I said, this year, I think our average years of experience is about 13. So we have a big range. We do have some students with exactly 5 years, and we have some students that are closer to 20 years of experience. So you're going to have a big variety in your classes who are able to learn from each other. We do require the TOEFL. We look for a minimum of 105 on the TOEFL test. We do not accept the IELTS test. We do have a waiver application online. So generally you will receive a waiver if you've spent significant time in an English-speaking country, if you've gotten your degree from an English-speaking institution in an English-speaking country. So you can go ahead and utilize that as well. We are also accepting this year, as we did last year, the TOEFL at-home test. We know that testing centers in many places are still not open. So if the at-home test is available to you, you can take that one as well. And in addition to kind of these, hard and fast qualifications, we're looking for people who want to be tomorrow's change agents, students who want to be continuous learners. You have to come in knowing that you might learn something that maybe you won't use right away, but could be important later on, something that's going to challenge you or change your perspective, and that's going to be of interest to you. Just to know it, to learn it is important. That pursuit of lifelong learning is incredibly important to us, and we have designed this program for lawyers who want to keep learning, who want to be ahead of the curve, on the cutting edge. And so that's who we're looking for in our applicants. And we want the students that we admit to not only succeed, but to thrive at Columbia, and take advantage of all that the school has to offer, both while you're a student and afterwards as well. We have, plenty of alumni programs and alumni groups all over the world. And how to apply. This is, I think this will be pretty standard across all of your applications, but our applications do go live on August 15th this year for our 2020 class. And usually that's when our applications go live every year if you're looking to start at a later year. We do use LSAC for our applications, so it's all done online. You cannot send anything outside of there. It all has to run through LSAC. Besides our basic electronic application form, which will have your biographical information, a bit about your work experience, we also ask for a resume or CV and a personal statement. We do get a lot of questions on the personal statement, so You're welcome to ask more questions afterwards, but just to give you a bit of information, the personal statement, we're really looking for what we're not getting from your resume. So is there a specific story that you want to tell? Or do you have, some different areas of interest or experience? How do those tie together? Really tell us that story that we're not getting from the rest of your application materials. And very importantly, it's an opportunity to show how well you write. So make sure that you're checking it for typos, check your English, check your spelling and your grammar. That's a really important tell for us as well. So not only do we want to know your story, but it is a part of your application, just how it's written. We also need your transcripts and your diplomas. So we need them from all the places that you've graduated from, but also if you've taken a class at a different school or you studied abroad at a different institution, we need those transcripts too. And they have to be official. This stumps people a lot of times. So once again, transcripts from every institution you've been to officially is very important. And we are still experiencing delays with mailing, I think, this year. The transcripts will have to be mailed from your institutions to LSAC. They'll evaluate them and send them to us. So the sooner you can start that process, the better, so it doesn't hold up your application. The statement of rank is a nice to have, but is not a requirement. So if your school does not rank students, that's okay. It's not a requirement for us, but if they do, it's great to include. We do also require 2 letters of recommendation. The letters of recommendation do have to be original. They can be mailed to LSAC, but we suggest that your recommenders submit them electronically. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's easier for them. And for that, we really want people who know about your experience. The title of your recommender is not as important to us as if they know you, if they know why you would be a good candidate, a good worker. That's really more important to us. As I mentioned, we do either need a TOEFL score or your approved waiver. And those are really the meat of your application. We're around to help you at any time if you have questions about the application. My email is going to be at the end of the slide, so you're welcome to reach out to me. So I'm happy to help you along the way. We do have 2 deadlines as well. The first deadline is October 1st. If you apply and your application is complete by October 1st, then you will receive an admissions decision by November 1st. So if you're really hoping to know soon, you want to get the process started, maybe you're worried about your visa or you just want to be done with it, you can have that done. And our final deadline is December 18th. Our admissions decisions are made on a rolling basis. So it's kind of as they come in, you'll receive them. They're not all sent out at one time. So if you haven't received yours yet, and you could perhaps be hearing on the blog that someone else has, they're all in the process. It's just a rolling process that we work through as they come in. And now we have some time for questions, but before we jump into the question period, so I'll give you a few more minutes to think about what they might be. Carolina, is there anything else that you would add about your experience? Anything that was perhaps most memorable to you, or that you think students should know going into it?
I don't know. I think what really stood out for me was how the student, how committed they really were to the program. How nice and welcoming the whole staff was, you included, of course. Amanda shows up at every class. We had all classes online last year, but she was there every class. Right in the beginning, is everybody logged in? Let me see who is missing. Let me give them a call. Oh my God, what happened to the professor? Why is he late? Oh, I think he doesn't have any sound. So that makes you feel really welcome. You're never lost, because sometimes in big universities, you feel kind of lost. You're just another one. And if it's in a different language, in a different country, you might really feel out of place, but not here. Here you really felt part of the whole thing, and there was nothing that I needed that I couldn't get. There were times, last year was very difficult for everybody, and for me too. I have 3 children. They were all being homeschooled by me while I was doing the program, and there were just times that I couldn't prepare for classes, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I can't go to class tomorrow without reading this 100 pages that I have to read by tomorrow. What am I going to do? And I remember at one point, I wrote the professor And I wrote her, look, I just can't read the 100 pages by tomorrow. I don't know what to do. And they follow the Socratic method. So if you're not prepared, classes won't evolve, because the professor will ask you questions. And if you can't answer, the class just doesn't evolve. So everybody needs to be prepared. And we were just 11 or 12 last year, Amanda. It was a very small class. So there's just no way you can go to class without being prepared. And then this professor wrote me, okay, you can't read the 100 pages, all the 10 cases. What can you read? And I was like, I don't know, maybe this one that's just 5 pages long. And she was like, okay, fine, then just read this one and you're going to be fine. And during the class next day, she only asked me questions about this one case that she knew I was going to read. So, that made me feel really comfortable. And at times I thought about giving up and just, because I was sick and there was so much to do and everything. And the professors were so supportive, and they were like, okay, fine, you're sick this week, you can't watch this one class. That's okay. Maybe just log in with cameras off and don't worry, just listen, you're going to be fine. And, that really helped me. I didn't give up. I finished it well with good marks. So it's all possible. And maybe it wouldn't be like that if we didn't have all the support from the staff, from the administrative staff, and from the professors. So I was really amazed by that. That was something really I wasn't expecting.
That warms my heart truly to hear, because I know how hard it is for the students, even in a normal year, much less last year. And I think, we've talked a couple times about how intense the program is. It's intense both with the time period and with the quality that professors are looking for. But that's a very important part to mention, that they want you to succeed. They know that you're human, that things happen in life, and they're going to be able, to really work with you and understand you, and just talking to them can make a really huge difference. So thank you for sharing that. And I think now we'll open it up for questions. If anybody has any, please use the Q&A function. I see we have one in right now. Looks like someone has asked, is working as an intern during graduation count for 2 years of professional work required for it? So I would say it really depends what you did during that time. Internship work can be, a lot of nothing, or it can be, much more intense. And I would say to talk about what you did during that internship in your CV is really important. What were projects you worked on? How many hours did you work there? That's going to be more important. And if you kind of have questions about that, or you want to chat about it, we're around to talk ahead of time to kind of, see what might work. We can't give you exact answers, but I think that's kind of important. But yeah, please feel free to use the Q&A function. I think you should be able to see it at the bottom. Any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer them. Or if you have questions for Carolina before we sign off.
Well, while people send their questions, I'd like to thank you so much, Amanda, and also Carolina, for both of you being here this evening and being able to share with us about your experiences with the program. I hope that Amanda can get the degree as well, right? Since Carolina mentioned about getting going to all the classes.
That would be great. I'd love to get it through the osmosis of that.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. I was really impressed. Thank you really a lot.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy to share the information. I will be sending out an email to everyone that registered tomorrow, just to follow up. And so you have my information if you have questions about the program. We do have another question from Bruno. Bruno asks, are there any possibilities of scholarship or financial aid for international students? So the Executive LL.M doesn't have any specific scholarships for it, but we do have loan opportunities from Colombia, and our financial aid office is more than happy to talk with you about what those options are. As well, on our website, we do have a list of some external scholarships that students have applied for. The best thing I can say for that is apply for those early. Not only do they take quite a bit of time, but because our program starts in March every year, some of those application cycles are a little bit longer, so start those early. Another option to look at is that because our program allows you to continue working, is that many students get full or partial sponsorship from their companies. For your companies that you're working for, it's a huge benefit for them. They don't lose you as a worker, and you come back with a new degree and new experience, really ready to hit the ground running. So I would say definitely speak to your employer about that. Students have had a lot of success that way. Another question we have is working in another industry besides law count as work experience? I would say it does count as work experience. Having experience in law is still going to be important. So if you have no experience in law, you've gone a totally different direction after your law degree or before, then that might not be as applicable. But if you decided to take your law degree and go work in a more business sector after that, that would help count towards your area there. And the reason for that is that it's very law, even though it is business focused, the law is going to be really important. And so being able to kind of understand those concepts as soon as you arrive is really critical. Next question is, does the traditional LLM require the same 5 years of work experience? No, they do not require the same 5 years of work experience. They're usually looking for around at least 1 year of work experience, though they do have students that have more experience, but they don't have the same 5 years.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, for putting in your questions. If there is anything else you'd like to ask, or as Amanda said, you may email her later, right, as the email is on the screen. So once again, I thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I guess we were about 18, and maybe at the peak, we reached 20 participants. Thanks a lot for being with us this evening.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Klaus, for inviting us today to share about the program and our experience. This has really been just wonderful for me as well, both to meet you and to see Carolina again and to get to talk about the program. I'm so lucky to get to work with such great people and with such an interesting and really cool program. So I'm happy to talk about it. It looks like we don't have any more questions coming in. So I think we'll give everyone back a bit more time for their evening.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening to us. Thank you, Klaus, for having us. Thank you, Amanda, for the invitation. And it was really great seeing you here. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.